And a very good evening. Welcome to the Duaneo Podcast, episode 14 and number 7, week 7 of NRRRL discussion. And we're getting along. We're underdogs to get this season out of the way. It's probably now we're about 50-50. So we're holding the line, as Gladys Berejiklian says in press conferences, and I think that's what's happening with this competition. So we're halfway through the Northern Conference, and we should be able to get into the finals. So we've got about 5 weeks left of action, but no slowing up here on the Duaneo Podcast. Michael Shaw, though, has given himself the night off, so I'm here with Nathan Cross and Mickey Coleman. What a weekend of footy, boys, and we're getting on with business, aren't we?
Hello, boys.
Hey, guys.
Yeah, So, Crossy, you covered that game with me on Sunday, Tweed Coast and Coogin. Was it every little bit that you expected? We all tipped the Raiders, but I mean, the way that Coogin played, like with a whole new spine, like I knew there'd be a few changes, but when we got the teams, and what was it, Thursday, Friday, a whole nucleus of backline, and we thought, okay, Tweed might be doing the business here, but Coogin, despite not getting the win, they threw some surprises out there.
They did. And to their credit, they were super brave, Coogin. I think I said it during the week and I said it during the call that I expected the Raiders to really turn it on. Mate, they didn't do that. They weren't allowed to. I looked at the Raiders team sheet and I thought that with the blokes they had sort of on paper, they had some strong attacking players in that side. I thought they might really turn it on. But to Coogin's credit, as you said, Nev, with the guys that they had unavailable, mate, they defended strongly. They hung in. They had every right to sort of go down by 20, 24 points, but it was a close game in the end.
And I thought for me, Coogin had the better of the first half as well. It was very tit for tat, but Coogin, I mean, I feel like well, let's put it this another way. If Coogin had that lineup with the Jalen de Groots, the Tommy Weavers, who have only just been blooded a few weeks ago, they win that game, and I think they win it by anywhere about 8 to 10 points. Not taking anything away from the Raiders. They played a staunch game as you expect the Raiders to do, but Coogin in that last 5 minutes, it was almost like, well, are they gonna pull the rug underneath the Raiders' feet? No pun intended, but I just feel for me, Coogin, despite the fact they're going down, give them a year or two, they're going to win this comp with me. If they will win this comp.
Coogin did really well. We said it during the call, mate. They had, I think, 4 under-16 players called up to play under-18s with only one guy on the bench. Oscar Bryan, as we know, made his debut in A-grade on the weekend, played outstanding, played out of position at halfback. They had every right, not to win that game. And as you said, mate, to be in the game, that late try to get them back in it, and make it a ball game with a couple of minutes to go. Wasn't to be, of course. But most of that second half, I thought the Raiders would just score a try and kick on. But, yeah, as I said, mate, Coogin hung in really well.
And Lyndon McGrady also, I think, with his kicking, putting up all those big spiralling bombs and putting Ben O'Gorman in pressure at fullback. And Ben O'Gorman took a really bit of a nasty hit in the air as well, fell on the back of his head. And thank Christ he's okay. But I feel if Coogin can just get through the turbulence of their back line, settle on something, and as we'll probably mention more when we speak to Bailey Crompton later, as we are talking to Bailey Crompton from the Murwillumbah Mustangs as well. I feel that if they settle on their back line, they're gonna go some places. And as I said, well, I've said this time and time again when it comes to Coogin, that all those youngsters that got bled into this lineup, and it's sort of forced the hand with the borders and everything. It's probably going to be a blessing in disguise for the Hornets because, as I said, they're going to be hungry to win that. They've been thereabouts with grand finals and whatnot. And they played in one in 2017 and 16. They just went down in both of them. And I just think that Ballina's, and we'll talk about this more when we talk about Ballina Casino. I give it 2 years. 2 years, and I think Coogin will be right up there where they I feel they deserve to be. Mickey, did you catch any of that game? You're out doing the business for the Jets against the Mustangs. Did you catch that game?
I had my phone down while we were doing a bit of this and a bit of that, and trying to watch the game. But just one of the main things to take away from that game was Oscar Bryant making his A-grade debut, and it just seems every week they're giving another jersey up in Coogin for another A-grade debut. But like you said, they're not disappointing, and then they're doing the jersey well, and they're doing it proud. So you mentioned Benno Gorman taking a nasty fall. Did I see Dan Ross got injured for Tweed Coast as well? Did he have to come off hurt?
I think that, it was early in the game.
Too.
Yeah.
Early on. Yeah.
Yeah, so like you said, they had the chance. They could have maybe stole one, but at the same time, they're not going to come away from that game disappointed with the effort. And because all 4 teams will make the finals as such, I think it's not a extremely bad result, even though they lost. So
yeah, and as I said, it's all a learning experience now for these younger boys. And Coogin, they're not the only ones going through this as well, and we'll gradually go into each team as we cover the games of the round that just came through. So that was the live stream game that we did. 14-10 it was a mass turnout under COVID rules. It was 497, Crossy. That was
that was my estimate. And talking to Harrow,
and then you two.
Yeah,
499. We're under the COVID restriction.
Yeah. And so
go figure.
Yeah, that's right. So Coogin, they'll be doing the business against Murwillumbah this weekend. So
and I guess too, Nev, just thinking about that, they're going to have to start, getting used to life without those young boys, because they do have Palm Beach Crumman High School commitments.
That's right.
That's obviously they didn't play last week. They won't be playing next week. Parker Bryant, Tommy Weaver, Jalen DeGroot. They won't play any footy until PBC sort of run their race in that competition.
How long does that got to go, Will Crossy?
Well, mate, they'll go into the Queensland final next week, I think it is, and then they'll have their national final. So they're still – and they've got a pretty good side, mate. Talking to their coach, Brad Davis, again last night. They're getting a few troops back, and they're quite strong. So you never know. It's a knockout competition.
And, look, I don't – with the whole thing of COVID, how are they going to have national finals?
It's a great question.
Yeah, they're going to have national finals. Like they could. I mean, with that being said, AFL, they've got the grand final in Queensland now, but they let the AFL boss get a free pass from Melbourne. So who knows? But then again, there's probably a little bit more money involved in that. So I'm not gonna get into. Yeah. I'll just. Yeah,
maybe it won't. It's a great point. Maybe it'll just be a Queensland final this year.
Yeah, because I know.
Yeah,
I know in the New South Wales, they're not even letting certain parts of Sydney, let alone regions, play against each other. When it comes to like school sports and stuff, that was announced. That could change probably in the next few weeks, but that was announced a couple of weeks ago. Okay, so we're right. So we just had some internet issues on my end by the looks of it. So the joys of doing live webcasting. But so we're talking about always the hot topic of the week is the borders and whatnot. So I was just saying that I don't see a national comp going ahead. Just even the fact of Sydney that they're not allowing school sports happening regionals. So even certain parts of Sydney aren't playing against each other, and they're not playing in other regions. Saying like going into for the threat, they want to try and make sure COVID doesn't get too far out of Sydney into the regional areas, and so to speak. But hopefully for Coogins' sake, they can get the boys back on the paddock because they're doing some immense work in their debut season. I'll tell you what, though, whoever's going to be voting for Rookie of the Year in the team awards at the end of the year has got their work cut out for them. So give it to one of 5 players. So
absolutely.
So that was Tweed Coast versus Coogin. 14-10 Raiders getting the job done. So
just to wrap up on that one, Nev, for the Raiders, because we probably didn't touch on them too much. Don Murray had a big game. Your man Hensby, Nev, had another big game. The hitman Hensby. Yeah, as he's self-proclaimed himself to be. Tane Robinson, I thought, played pretty well as well. And yeah.
Right across it. Yeah, go. Keep going.
No, you go.
No, apparently because Lukey Campbell, Kalani Hensby messaged me, what was it, on the day after the game, and he said Lukey Campbell, it was a stitch-up job. So, but
we thought so.
I'm afraid it's stuck now. So he's hitman for life. We'll get them both on. We'll see if we can get them both on, and we'll have, as I said, I told him that we offered the right of reply here, which you'll hear in good taste when Bailey Crompton comes on for you, Mickey.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, so all right. So, but speaking of which, you've got the microphone at the moment when it comes to the next game. Although it's probably not going to be pretty reading for you. 36-6, Murwillumbah beating Bilambil. Alex Fitzhugh was the lone try scorer. Though it was a pretty even game in the first quarter, Mickey. Like Murwillumbah played, they applied the pressure early with a line dropout, bouncing in field. Then there was a couple of penalties back to back, and then they were playing really slick from dummy half, and which you sort of expected when you got Joe Besgrove with the reins there. First try came within the first 10 minutes and was off a kick assist. And then then your boys there got one back within about 5 minutes for Alex Fitzhugh. It was a bit short-lived, though, when the Mustangs got the second try, 16-6 at halftime. Then just looking at the try scorers, it's the usual suspects. You got Tom Vickery, Adam Walker, Liam Cusack, Jake Vickery as well. So, and Phil Ramage getting 4 goals, Khan Rose just getting the 1. So it was, where did it all go wrong for Bilambil, Mickey? Like, was Murwillumbah just found their groove?
No, honestly, even at halftime at 16-6, it still felt like it was a close game and we weren't doing too much wrong. We just weren't converting into points. And when I mentioned last week, I thought we were near full strength. I didn't realise we had a few players out when I got to training on Thursday, and Alex Fitz having to play in the half at halfback, which is a good player wherever you put him. But Khan and his brother Harry were just gelling in the halves, and maybe that just kind of discombobulated them a bit. But it was more of just the flawless effort from Murwillumbah. They done nothing wrong in the second half. They were doing everything right, and that was frustrating Bilambil. And then they were, giving it to Bilambil. They were hitting them hard. They were slowing them down, and the frustration just led to more frustration, and then led into tries. And then it was even at 36-6, it felt closer than that, but the scoreboard, said it a lot differently. So
yeah, so it's like I feel for me that Murwillumbah, write them off at your peril, and we probably even got a bit complacent when it came to them. And we'll talk more about this with Bailey, but it was I think they've won 1 out of their last 6 games. Which, when you read that on paper, is pretty well. That's crisis for most teams, but probably with the exception of the grand final against Ballina, they were in all those games. They were leading at some point, but then the one game that they did win out of all that was that preliminary final. Get it out and won against Casino, and they were losing that too. They were out of their depth against Ballina because of Bailey not playing because of being suspended, and as well as a swag of injuries. But then
we might not bring that up, with Bailey.
No,
we won't talk about that one.
No, I don't. I'm not ready for hate mail. Yeah, I'm not. My podcast is still too young. But more to do with this year. If you can count the first few games that don't count in this new competition. They were getting amongst it, but then they just I don't know if it's the queue in the rack or they're missing Caleb Howe. I don't know if it's they're just they've got vastly the same team with a couple of newies and maybe 1 or 2 young players. I wouldn't say it's a lack of personnel, but I just think maybe Caleb Howe not being there just to give him that bit of grunt into their attack and just keeping them on the job, I guess. Because that's what was surprising, wasn't it, Nev? That was the surprising thing, looking at their squad, as you allude to, from the start of the year, and only being 1 from 6. You sort of think, well, what's going on here? It's pretty much the same team. But in talking to Nathan Jordan after that Coogin game,
he just said he's sort of been one of them years with injuries and a few things like I'm probably going to mention. But and mate, I know what that feels like and looks like as a coach, and even being in teams, you're sort of looking at your squad going, why isn't this happening for us? And I don't want to get started on your Broncos, Nev, but even at times at the start of the year for them, I mean, it's a similar thing for them, mate. You know, they're a far better team than what they're than how they're going.
Well,
so they've come good, and I don't want to get you on a tangent with these stupid Broncos,
mate. You haven't, mate. I haven't. If you want to, I'm happy to start to 1 a.m. if you want. If you want me to dish off everything that's wrong with the Broncos right now and what they need.
I'm busy.
To do.
I'm busy.
I know, mate. I know you got you're on parental duties once again, but We'll maybe save that for the Mad Monday.
We'll save that for another time.
We've got the Mad Monday coming up, and trust me, there's going to be more beers. There's going to be not enough beers for me to drown over talking about the friggin' Broncos at the moment. But in all seriousness,
I just wanted to ask Mickey though, Nev, just with Bulamble, Mickey, you say 36-6. Obviously, it doesn't sound close, but again, we've all been involved with games that it feels much closer. I suppose a couple of things, mate. How was the boys' mindset after the game in relation to being competitive against Murwillumbah? And secondly, injury-wise, mate, how are you travelling after that game?
Well, it was a pretty quiet shed after the game. But the thing about the team is that I don't think they really. I mean, they care they lost, but it might be at Bulamble this year because we've had such high hopes and the crowd's there and you're playing a home games. We haven't won a game at home yet. Our 2 wins have both been away wins. So it might be just the expectation setting in and then just the, you don't want to let the crowd down. So maybe if they just relax it a little bit more, we've got 1 home game left, but they're ready to come out. As for injuries, we'll have to see because we're missing Harry Fitz didn't play. Tyson Donnelly didn't play. Noah Johansson got sent off in the under-18s and he was supposed to play on the bench for A grade, so he couldn't play. And so it's not some other injuries. If he gets suspended, and I think Hindy might be in a bit of...
sent off, didn't he?
Yeah, he got sent off at the end for losing his head a little bit. So we'll just see. We've got good reserve grade players too. Like we've got players that can come in. And, we do. And I guess it's just finding the right 17 that's going to work because we've got the right 25 there, but putting the right players playing out of position, not out of position, but not their preferred position. And, at the end of the day, I think we've gone loss, win, loss to start the new season. So if somehow we get another win, loss, win, we're sitting average, I guess. So.
Okay. It's interesting that you point that out, Mickey, and especially being in the new season and new competition from a Bulamble perspective. That because when Bulamble were sort of wrapping up in the Queensland competition, it was actually a home wins at home that
exactly.
And even that one I covered on the ladies' day with you when you played Ormo, and then you had that win against Crompton, and you only just lost to Tugan. And then, but your away form was well.
We drew against Tugan that game.
Oh, did you? So I thought it was only by a couple of points. But then your away games, it's like, well, I guess I think by this point, I think you knew your boys weren't going to make finals. So I think it was just let's just make the bus trip's fun kind of trip. And I think you guys might have even started a bit early, even before the games, and had a few beers at the Pizzy Park and run away at Bay Tavern. And
honestly, I stay out of the whole players and who's playing, like not calling it coaching or anything side of it all. I'm more of the party liaison kind of person down there, and it's just
I figured that.
Yeah, social director.
Yeah, social director. That's what I was looking for. So, and it's wanting to do it. We want the players, a feel for the players. If they're feeling for the crowd and they feel they've let us down, the whole crowd is saying, "Man, we want the players to win because we know the talent's there, the effort's there, but it's just the wins aren't there." So.
But to your credit, though, Mickey, you have but now that I don't know if it's because you now moved into the NRRRL. I don't know what, or it's just the whole Gold Coast lifestyle now is kind of in the rear view, but you have settled down compared to 12 months ago. I don't see as many Instagram stories as you sinking like vodka. You're having like vodka jelly shots or something after the Southport game or Runaway Bay. And now you're going to weddings on the week. I did see that you were at a wedding on, was it Saturday?
Yeah, the wedding was fun. Big shout out to Nick and Britt. They got married. Yeah, me personally, I have settled down a little bit,
Yeah.
but yeah, I can't speak for the rest of the boys. So
Oh well, we'll save that for the Mad Monday special when that
yeah.
comes up. So so we'll now literally head out of the Tweed bubble, and we'll focus now on the other two games that are out of the bubble, which is we'll go with Northern United, the Lismore Derby, and I sort of picked it how let me just bring the scores up here. It was 34-22, Northern United getting it done. And I, as I said in last week's podcast, I knew watching how Northern United play, and this was probably their best 80 minutes performance of the year. Ignore the fact that they 22 points were put on against Morris. That's no ill feat when they've got the likes of Mitch Krause and Josh Patson and that Jacob Follen in the halves and whatnot.
Yeah, Mumford.
So away, that aside, Northern United looked really sleek from the start, and your mate Clarence Kelly, Crossy, he still looked like he was trying to win a premiership with Ballon again the way he was playing.
Mate, he's ageless, clacker. He just honestly, you'd think he's 21 or 22. It's ridiculous how he moves and that still. So, boys, I didn't catch any of that game. So, run me through. What was it sort of sitting at half time? Did brothers ever lead? Did Northern come from behind? How did it work?
So Northern United, they were slick. They were just playing through many sets of hands they can early as opposed to late. They were moving from side to side of the field pretty well. What was interesting, though, the first two tries, and actually the majority of the tries, came off kicks. They came in kicks in the corner, but the first two, so it was one each from Northern and one from Morris. Yep. They were both kicks in the corner. Who I'm just trying to see who there was a really slick play in the second half. You would have seen this, Mickey, watching that as well. And Northern United, they kicked kind of parallel into the corner, and it was just fed well. And there was about 5 meters of defensive gap to play with.
I wonder.
Sorry.
When I look at Northern play, I'd like to know which are set plays and which are just spur of the moment, brilliance that look like set plays. So you'll have to forgive me, Northern boys, because I'm not 100% sure of the names. But number 3, is that Clarence Kelly? Would it be a centre?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, he would wear 3.
Mate. He just, every time he catches the ball, he's big, he's quick. And then they run this other play for their second rower, whoever number 12 was, and you're expecting it to go wide to Kelly, and they just pop a short ball, and he goes straight in untouched. So just, the deceptiveness there. And one of my favourite players of the game was, it was kind of in the balance, like it was maybe 6 to 10 points in it. And one of the Northern players, the number 9, this big fella's run at him, and he was like a small headgear, Preston Campbell style player, and he's tackled him, and he's just one-on-one raked it from this big guy, and the big guy's just like, what has just happened? And then Northern was straight on the attack again, and it was just plays like that, and just clever. It's fun to watch, and yeah, I'm kicking myself I didn't tip him actually, because
I just had that feeling that Northern United, as I said, they just had that one game where they were probably out of their element a little bit against Ballina, but let me put it this way. If they play some of the players that we've seen the last couple of weeks, as I said, they just had that minor blip. Ballina still better be on their game if they play in the grand final, because I tell you what, and I'm going to speak more about it and more also when we focus on the Ballina Casino game that just passed, is that Ballina's been in grand finals as many as we can think of. We've covered that numerous times. Just makes you wonder when they and evidence was this back in 2018 when Tweed Coast were just a hungrier team against the Seagulls. It's just going to make you wonder, is Ballina going to be geared up like they have been for all these titles, especially now when in a smaller competition, albeit they're miles in front on the table at the moment and for and against. But anyway, we'll go a bit more about it when we focus more on Ballina. But just amongst the try scorers, Dan Taylor, he was the one who scored that try in the corner. Clarence Kelly, Trevor Bolt scored as well. Denzel Dangerfield. So a lot of the old casino boys scored there. And Dennis Smith, Roy Bell, Joey Gordon, Grant Brown with a kick the conversions. Jacob Follen kicked all the conversions from Marist. And Isaiah McKenzie, Silo Stavnow, and Henry Lee scored for Marist. And so Marist brothers, I think they've got the week off now to memory. They do. And Northern will play Mullum, and we'll get tips on those in just a little bit. But yeah, just saying, 14-8, Northern were in front, and then they got it out to 22-8. So they could have run away with it even at some point, but as I said, they still have the little blips where they let the opposition maybe just get a taste towards the back end. They did go down to 12 men in the fourth quarter. But another thing should worth mentioning, this will be of interest to you, Crossy. Daryl Butcher got himself a start back in A grade since you coached him. And boy, didn't he know it too. He got an absolute whack into the turf. Just got absolutely blindsided. High shot, mind you, but yeah.
He's a great man, Daryl Butcher. I'm glad to see that Butcher's back playing a bit of first grade. I should have texted you. You won't meet too many better people than Butch.
Mate, I should have texted you that early, actually. Yeah, I should have.
But just thinking about brothers, boys. There obviously a lot of hype coming in the start of the year. They have lost a couple of those players because of the border bubble, and Maxie Elliott's one of them. Queensland Cup forward from Wynnum Seagulls. I've mentioned the last couple of times I've watched them. They've been a little bit underwhelming, and they're a little bit predictable, I feel, brothers. And this week off might do them good, boys. This might be what they need, just to go and reset, rejuvenate their season, and come back fresh, because we're out at the pointy end now. So, they'll have to find something. I think I said a few weeks ago they need to sort of alter their attack a bit to get Krause a bit more into the game. And, they rely heavily on Patson on that edge as well, boys. So I'll be keen to see what Mark Sivrite, their coach, sort of comes up with over this next week or two.
Yeah, so moving along now. So Ballina versus Casino at Kingston Swift Park, and they'll play again on Sunday. And unfortunately, when you look at the scoreline, it was sort of to be expected. 62-0 Ballina beating Casino. Zach Beecher scoring a double. Reece Richards, Luke Douglas, Anthony Coleman scoring 2. Matthew Colliner, Jordan Lee, and Liam Anderson scoring 3. Once again, no Oliver Regan. Zach Beecher was playing at fullback. Cooper Manny got a start at centre. So Logan Iverson playing in the halves. And, so I don't know if I'm unsure of why Oliver Regan's not playing. I don't know if he...
I had a chat to Ollie on Friday night. I sent him a message at midnight, actually, because I was having a few drinks. And I said, why haven't you been playing? And he said he lives at Tweed.
Yeah.
But he works in Queensland. So if he goes out of the bubble to Ballina, he won't be able to go back into Queensland for work.
So he's
trying to get away to get out of that. So
but didn't he play after the closure happened?
He must have swapped job locations or something, I guess, because I think he's a tradie or something. Okay. So he's working in Queensland. So if he leaves the bubble, when he gets to the Queensland border, they say, "Have you been out of the bubble?" And he says, "Yes." They won't let him come to work. So
that's right. Okay. Well, that's fair enough.
Is Hayden Hansen the other one that you mentioned?
Yeah, Hayden Hansen.
Yeah.
I think he's in the same boat.
Yeah. Yeah. Alex Bishop's another.
Nicholas Ritter.
So, and it's even affecting up to get as far as Casino as well. So I heard, but I want to make mention with Casino and Crossy. We'll go into details of this into the game because neither of us watched it. You did. I said to you boys just the last day or two when the scores were coming in, and I was just wondering if Casino they've got some great young players, as I've said in the past few podcasts. I'm just starting to wonder if that's some of these boys that were being prioritised for the 18s and reserve grade. Of course, they played the reserve grade grand final last year, and as I said, they've got lots of rep players come up from the 16s and 18s, and just having a look at them, they had the likes of Rocco Partridge coming through. I'm just trying to see if I can find here. Rocco Partridge, one of the, and he was actually.
They had two guys make their debut.
Yeah,
two guys made their debut, Nev, for the Cougars on the weekend. So that's good. But I mean, as you guys are both appreciate, being around footy clubs before, there's some guys that play rugby league that just flat out just want to play reserve grade with their mates.
Yep.
Just don't want to play A grade.
That's right.
And it can become a frustration as a coach, particularly as an A grade coach, because some of those guys are killing it. You're like, mate, next week you're playing at 3 o'clock. Don't worry about those 1:30 games. You're with us. But they just don't want to know about it. And it's great on one hand because they're playing with their mates, but on the other, at times you really need them. So to come back to your point there, Duaneo, their Reggies are strong, the Cougars, and and their 18s as well, both recording wins over Ballina.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say.
Right,
would you rather 2 wins and an A-grade loss, or would you kind of sacrifice those games and maybe come away from Ballina with 3 losses? So,
yeah, 26-12, they won the 18s. And I just feel that, and I said this about Coogin as well, Casino are going to be in that same boat if they can either find a leader from the outside to replace the likes of Roy Bell, Trevor Bolt, or one of these boys just steps up. And I think it's going to have to be probably more the first option, because looking at it, and even in last year's final series, they had 16, 17-year-olds coming through. They need some leadership, either through the coaches, just a leadership group of maybe, say, about 2 or 3. And then the rest will sort itself out. And they've got some really. I mean, I just hope this, like, just wanting to play Reggie's in 18s doesn't really begrudge these boys, because they've got some bright futures ahead of them. And I've said this from time and time. Again, the same shit happened with Byron, as you know, Crossy. It's like it's all a learning phase, and like Byron had seasons like this after that 2014 grand final, and just. I guess also they had a bit of help with Lennox coming through, but it's just going to be interesting to see. And as I alluded this, some of the, given this season how it's going to go, we don't know what the structure is going to be. Hopefully, it goes back to somewhat normal the next year or two. But I'm just wondering how long of this dominance with Ballina and how hungry they're going to be to keep going on and on, because we see it from an NRRRL perspective. You got the Tweed Coast Raiders. When they won it, they blew Ballina out of the park, and Ballina were thinking, well, we've won a swag of them, like pretty much all of them since 2013. And you go back through all the years. You go through, well, Murwillumbah were kind of already out of their element because they were coming in like bashed and battered and lost players. And then you've got Coogin, who, like, to this day still feel that they're unlucky. And then you skip 2016, Ballina didn't feature. Then 15, Ballina put on a clinic, and then 2014 against your guys against Byron. But Byron coming from 4th, I think. And then, so it just makes you wonder. Then when you just kind of look at where the under 18s are now with like Coogin and Casino, and I guess Byron with Lennox, and Ballina, you look at those players and they're already like their 18s. They've like, whilst they're strong, I think they're already starting to bleed them now, and so these other boys are going to come up in the next little bit. So it's just a question of how many like when they play
how many grand finals can you make in a row? I think
every
year.
And how many and who's gonna
I don't think they're getting sick of it.
Yeah, well, I only bring this point up because, well, you look at Murwillumbah, right, in the rugby, they've won a swag of them. And speaking of which, I'm going to have to get my basic rule book out, and because I'm back on the call doing the rugby for the finals as of this weekend. So, but Ballina got on top of that, and Murwillumbah finished, I think, 2nd or 3rd. So they're thinking, well, like we've been there, done it. But even from the soccer perspective as well, Byron Bay FC, they were in grand finals through up to 2013, similar to Ballina, and then they took on a South Lismore team who haven't been in a grand final or even the Prem since 1993. They made a grand final, and watching that last year, you could tell who wanted to be there and who was like, well, meh, we win. And it wasn't Byron. So
it's all about your personnel. Yeah, it's all about who you've got there, And I know that's an obvious statement, but let's take last year with Ballina, for example, Similar guys, but then in strolls a guy by the name of Jamie Lyon, who has done everything there is to do in the game. So, but what he does is he lifts everyone around him. So if a few of those blokes are starting to feel like we've already won a couple of comps, we're a bit down, a bloke like Killer comes in and then lifts you up. It's the same as this year. Jamie Lyon rolls out, Luke Douglas rolls in. It's rejuvenated, So that's the key part of it, is your personnel and having the mixture right.
Okay, so that's pretty well said. Mickey, anything you want to add?
I just want to add for that Casino Ballina game, big shout out to one of the under 18s players, Kurt McGrath. I went on their Facebook and it said that he played the under 18s game, then the reserve grade game, then made his debut for the A grade game.
Has
so
that ever been
huge,
done?
huge achievement for him.
That's insane.
Yeah, so
that's
good
awesome.
good on him. And like you said,
him.
if you got the under 18s coming through, that's the player that you want to be coming through. So yeah,
I think the name rings a bell. I think I did one of his junior games when playing for the Titans. I don't know if it was 16s or 18s or if it was last year or this year, but the name rings
great
a
effort
bell.
on the weekend.
Okay, so that was round 3 covered. I'll get that right. Round 3 of the North and Southern Crops covered. Coming up next was going to be a chat with Bailey Crompton, and he'll be enjoyed talking to us and not in front of a judiciary board on a Wednesday night. So don't go anywhere. And welcome back to the Duaneo Podcast, episode 14, number 7 in the NRRRL theme. Can't believe we got that far. I thought we might have got a couple in, but this COVID hasn't stopped us yet. So what also hasn't stopped is the success that Murwillumbah Mustangs have pulled in the last couple of weeks. Had a big win against Bilamble and had a historic win against the Tweed Coast Raiders the week before. And the bloke who had a big hand in all that is none other than Bailey Crompton. So, Bailey, you had a night off from attending the judiciary, mate. You're coming to attend this other board here on the podcast form.
Yeah, I'm coming in live to talk to you fellas.
So, mate, we had a look at that game on Sunday. Obviously, me and Crossy were calling it Cabba on Sunday, so we caught the game on Huddle. It looks like you boys found some form, like some solid, consistent form again. Like, you boys were in the games previous, and then for whatever reason, you guys didn't quite put it away. But so what's changed amongst the group this time? Was it more of a leadership thing, or is it just some new players gelling, or how did that come about?
Yeah, it's been a bit of a common theme that once we kind of go into that third or fourth quarter, that we've been in the game, but we've just dropped out of it a little bit. So I think what changed this week is Mickey Coleman got onto the judiciary boys and sat me out for a week, and luckily we got to play a few of the better younger players coming through, and boys like Bailey Cox and Liam Robinson and a few younger fellas. They really gave Bilamble a touch up on the weekend.
Yeah, and I should iterate too. So we spoke about last week, and not in as many words, but Mickey was implying that you and the judiciary board are now on a first name basis, and Christmas cards will be out in December. So we give you the right to reply to that. So
yeah, no, like I just said, Mickey got me the week off, which gave a few of the better younger boys an opportunity to come in, and I don't think it works on his side if you look at the scoreboard on the weekend.
Yeah, and that's right, 36-6. And so Cade Hill, he had a decent game, and Liam Cusack got on. I think he got on the amongst the tries as well. So you found a bit of form now. So you've got Coogin on this coming Sunday. I think is that correct?
Yeah.
Coogin? Yep.
Yeah, got Coogin at home this weekend.
Are you back this week?
No.
Yeah,
Not back this week either. So hopefully a few of those younger boys hang around and get another game in.
So with that game against Coogin, so you got, as I made mention, you're in the fight in that game against Coogin. Me and Crossy covered that one as well, and had an early 10-point lead, and then Coogin just sort of found their groove towards the third and fourth quarter. What do you have to do this time around to ensure that? So you got a bit of background there. I said, what do you have to do this time to make sure that we don't have a repeat of a few weeks ago?
Probably last time we versed them, their young fellas really stepped up, like Tom Weaver, Parker Bryant, and Jalen DeGroot.
Yeah.
So I think what we've got to do is we've got to control their younger players, control their middle. They get a lot of roll on through Buddha and that in the middle. So kind of just tightening up our defence in the middle and letting footy do its thing, really.
That's the way. Crossy.
Bailey, how are you, mate?
Good, yourself?
Good, buddy. Mate, just thinking back to that game that Nev said that he and I called. Yeah, you boys were sort of on top that day. Talking to Eggy after the game, you sort of said it's been one of them years for you, hasn't it, up until to date? I mean, the last couple of weeks have been good, but, yeah, a bit disjointed, few sort of bounce of the ball, haven't been going your way, a few injuries, few suspensions. But I'm just thinking back to that game, mate. It was at Big Remy. Mate, he was the best player on the field for the first half an hour, and then he didn't play the rest of that game. Is he back to sort of to full strength now?
Yeah, so he did something to his elbow. I'm not quite sure, but I'm pretty sure he's close to coming back this week. He was iffy for Bilamble, so hopefully he's a big inclusion back for this week if we can get him.
Yeah, it's noticeable when he's on the field, mate, isn't it? Just his go
definitely.
forward. And And even his for a big man, he does a lot of good work in defence as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, he plays big minutes, and he's got a lot of experience in just slowing the play the ball down or just leading the young fellas through. Really good when he just tucks it up under his arm and just goes forward for us.
And Bailey Cox, Nev mentioned him before. Mate, he was outstanding at the back end of that Goodgin game. He come on and if you didn't know the age of the kid, you'd swear he was a sort of an experienced 25, 26-year-old, you know. He was excellent.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he's really good. And I think his stats on the weekend were like 25 hit-ups or 25 tackles, 4 offloads. He's a really good young player we've got coming through the club and probably going to go on to bigger and better things. But, it'll be good for him to get another game under his belt.
Mate, that's good. I'll let the other boys sort of jump in. But just on the theme of the young boys, because you'd be well aware we've sort of wrapped those Coogin guys as you just did. But you've also got young Buttarini there as well, who I think, mate, he's at PBC with the other lads?
Yeah, so Buttarini just played in that schoolboys game tonight. So PBC will take on Keebra in the grand final for that next week. And yeah, there's a really good bunch of young players coming through the comp at the moment, and it's good to see.
Yeah, absolutely, and some good old hardheads like Bailey Crompton. Yeah.
Mickey, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I was telling the boys last week, Bailey, how you like one of my most respected. You're a very well groomed kind of player out there, and you're a nice bloke and stuff like that.
I think you were just saying that.
Something like that. But I was saying it'll be a big loss. I honestly didn't expect you to get suspended. The video didn't show too much, but thinking you're not playing, there's going to be a big loss to Murwillumbah. But the forwards, they really stood up, and that Rennie, he didn't play against Bulambul either.
Nah, so Remy was out injured against Bulambul.
Remy, yep. And so who was the guy that I think he come off the bench, had the headgear on, bit of a nuggety.
So there was a few young fellas that come off the bench. Bailey Cox, he wears a headgear. Liam Robertson's probably the one you're talking about. Liam Robertson's quite short.
It was stocky. Just aggressive and, getting under jet skin and just like,
Yes, they call him Spoofer.
Yeah, right.
he had that nickname for 3 years and he didn't even know why they were calling him Spoofer, apparently.
Well, mate,
he was real white.
Yeah, right. He had a great game. I don't know if the game plan was to kind of annoy and throw Jets off the game, but the forwards who stood up in place of yourself and in place of Remy, they played real well, and there was pretty complete performance from Murwillumbah. I couldn't fault you, so it was a great game. And to think that you and Remy have to come back into the team, it's like who are you going to drop? So
yeah. No, it was good, and you could see that with like Jacko Springer and Hindy getting a little bit frustrated there towards the end of the game.
A little bit.
So Bailey, as I look at I was saying about leadership a few minutes ago. So this is your first year without your prodigal son, Caleb Howe, as captain. So and then you've got Joe Besgrove taking the reins. So how does all the leadership group mixing in now with all these younger fellas?
No, the leadership goes really well. Joe Besgrove, he's a natural-born leader. He's one of those blokes that you just want in your football team because he'd be an absolute pain in the ass to play against. But with him, Remy, Jonty, a few of our older fellas, we picked up Phil Ramage from Currumbin Eagles. So he's pretty old now, so he's a lot of good experience. Filthy Phil, he's probably about 44. He's almost on the pension.
Well, you're speaking about Joe Besgrove and how important he really is, and me and Crossy iterated this on the grand final when he had that nasty shoulder injury, and that was sort of like the good night Irene when it was a brave effort to play. But we didn't know how I knew it was a bad injury when in that preliminary final against Casino after he came off after 5 minutes and didn't play. How bad was his shoulder? Because we didn't know the extent of it. We just knew it was bad.
It was really bad, and it's a true show of character of just how tough he is to put the jersey on and run out there on grand final day. I think he was going to get a needle, but I don't think we could source one, so we played on without it.
Yeah, that's Cooper. And Cooper Cronk version 2 by the sounds of it when he broke his scapula, and then he was playing from the sidelines, but. So as we come towards the pointy out of the finals now, So how's the mindset for the Mustangs with all this border closure bullshit and whatnot, and how's it affecting you personally and as a team? So
yeah, so at the start, like being told that the season's on, the season's off, the season's on, I probably let it get to me a little bit, and I wasn't too keen on playing footy.
Yeah.
Plus, on top of that, you're coming off 3 losses, which is pretty shit at any time.
Yeah.
But once we got that first win and now a second win, footy's definitely an easier game when you're winning week in, week out.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, I certainly think you're hitting your straps at the right time. As I said, like, you're in it for the majority of those games. It must iterate that after about, was it 3 or 4 losses on the bounce? I think you were leading in or thereabouts in all of them. And now I think you're finding the right source, and then hopefully that, for the Mustangs' sake, it will go on a bit further. Crossy, anything you want to add before we?
Yeah, mate. I just wanted to ask Bailey, and you touched on it, Nev, in relation to mindset, but more around the attitude of yourself, mate, and the boys in this obviously shortened season, but also only 4 teams in this Northern Conference. How you actually approach that, and comparing that to, say, this time last year when you're marching on in a fully fledged competition, mate. How are you feeling? Is it different? Are you feeling the same? How are all the boys travelling?
So the boys are travelling pretty well. Like being in this Northern Comp with Cabba, Blamble, and Coogin, like you've got to turn up week in, week out. Like otherwise you're gonna get beaten. So it's a bit of a tougher year in the fact that there's no real, say, like easy games as there would be versus some of the southern teams. But you just got to keep turning up, and Eggy keeps us fresh each week and keeps us motivated, ready for another game each week.
Yeah, so you're still treating this like it's a normal season. You know, we're going to play finals no matter what. But obviously the goal for you blokes is to finish in that top 2, you know, and give yourself the best chance like any competition. Yeah,
so even though, like, from what I've heard anyway, every team's going to make the semis. Like, you know, there's still a little bit of that rivalry each week, and so next year you can, you can say you've had it over all of the other teams locally.
Yeah.
And you don't want to roll over and be an easy beat. So it's a little bit of a mental game now, and just showing that you have it over them.
And I think, and even though one of the games has become null and void, but it's one of piece between you 2 boys, and you still got decided to come. I think it's the last round of the Northern Conference final. So, Mickey, anything you want to add to that, brother?
Nah, I was very relieved when I was at the announcers box at Blamble on the weekend. I heard someone, Mickey, and I turned around and it was Bailey, but he had a smile on his face, so it's all good.
Mate, he was watching last week, by the way, so you can't back out. Like when you say, when I put my footy tips in, you say, no, that didn't happen.
Not this again.
Stockholm syndrome. But final question to you, Bailey. You played out at the Colts ground when me and Shory were calling that one just the other week against the Raiders. How is it now being back at the junior ground? Because a lot of you boys would have played there as juniors. I even played there 25 years ago, playing for the Bay. So it's a very special. Even though I knew then it was like a special ground, just out in the sticks. So how is it now playing at a senior level there, and what can we expect more games there in the future?
It's really good. You know, you've got the clubhouse behind you, all the pissheads sitting up on the deck and throwing abuse at you. It's pretty
That'll
good.
Be you this weekend.
Yeah, I know. I had a bit of fun doing that on Sunday, actually.
Yeah, you did, actually. You were good at it. You were great at it.
But, hopefully we've got a few more games out there, and there's a good feel about the place. Stan Circum used to be a bit of a fortress for us, so hopefully we can turn the Colts ground into a bit of a fortress as well and get a few wins out there.
Well, I can't wait to get back out there. I think we'll be out there, with the finals anyway. We should be making at least another visit there. But Bailey, enjoy the next weekend off. Hopefully, there's not too many of them before. Well, I mean, we've got another month of footy, so hopefully you can get back on the footy field, do your business, and then enjoy the summer break. Don't let that bloke on your right there give you too much grief.
No, I won't. Who is it? Never heard of her.
No, he's looking well washed today, though.
So good luck to the Raiders on the weekend, Mickey. Hopefully my Roosters can touch us up.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying anything this week.
Oh, mate, Hey, mate, be a Broncos supporter like me. I mean, I've already tipped Penrith to win by 54. And they'll be that's being kind, actually.
Yeah, that is.
All right, Bailey, good chatting to you, brother, and enjoy the weekend, and look forward to seeing you out in the field soon.
Thanks, boys. Have a good one. Thanks for having me.
Cheers.
See you, mate.
Cheers, mate.
See ya.
So that was Bailey Crompton. So coming up next, we'll give you the round. I think it's round 4 or round 5? I've lost count. I think it's the 6th, round 4. So we'll get round 4. So we'll go through the draw and all our picks coming up next. Okay, so just going through the table this past round 3 that we just had. So it just goes to show how evenly matched this Tweed conference is that Coogin started round 3 on first spot, tied with Bilambil. Well, they're all on 2 points, so just for and against. With for and against, well, first team in first position was on +4 and -6 was 4th. So that's just goes to show how even it all was. It's opened up a bit since, though. So Murwillumbah, who were actually last, and now first. With they went from -6 to 24, 4 points. Raiders now on 4 with +4. Coogin on 2 with 0, for and against, and Bilambil. They started the round second. You want to have a punt where you're sitting for and against wise now, Mickey? How's your maths?
-32.
28.
28, even better.
Okay, so... And whilst it's still anyone's in the Northern Conference, Southern Conferences as well, you think after this last round, it's kind of now between Ballina and Northern United, and Ballina on 3 wins from 3, 6 points, 124, for and against. Northern United 4 with 30. Marist, they're on like Coogin 2 and negative. Sorry, no, not negative, all positive. Duck Egg. And Murwillumbah and Casino both. I don't know if you get 2 points for a bye, but I'm not counting it. I'm not counting any points. They're both on none, and So that's the table for both conferences now. Focusing on round number 4, and I'll go through Michael's because I'm sure he's not here. We'll just go through his tips. So let's just see here. He doesn't do any research, and he got 4 out of 4. How does that work?
Good on him.
Sure thing, Shorey. Eh?
Yeah, sure thing, Shorey. So Crossy got 3, and Mickey 2. Mate, you got to. Mate, I know your heart's with Bilambil, mate, but I mean, is it still going to be with your heart after last week's effort? What's going on?
I'll tip him this week against Tweed Coast.
Okay. Well,
if we're going to start there.
We'll do that one first, eh? So Bilambil, Tweed Coast. So, obviously, do you want to at least put a reason why they might win? I mean, it's going to be at Lesberger Field, so, but they're away. Yeah, you said their away form's good.
Yeah.
Go with that.
Like we said, it's a weird conversation to have with a lot of people that saying how, underperforming Bilambil have been. And I say, well, we're on the same wins as Murwillumbah. We're on the same wins as Coogin. We're on the same wins as other teams, but you don't hear that coming from them. So
That's right.
It's not panic stations or anything at Bilambil, but it's more of, like you said, how Murwillumbah found their groove last week. It's time for Bilambil to find their groove, but we don't have the weeks to find it. You have to find it sooner rather than later.
That's
and I guess
true.
the only silver lining in this competition is at the end of 3 more weeks, we don't win 1 more game. We're still in 4th place and we're still playing for the finals.
That's
so
right.
we will be playing for a home final game though. And if this week, Tweed Coast, after they just beat us by 2 points at Bilambil, isn't the week to come out and click, then I don't know when the week's going to be. So
I was just about to say that too. Like that would have for the Chris Cameron Cup, that would have if that's not motivation to try and get one back, I don't know what is. So hopefully, obviously under COVID, restrictions, I hope it's a vocal turnout. I won't say a big turnout because they allowed up to 500 in any regard, but I hope it's a vocal turnout. And so Crossy, how do you see this one? How you can say Tweed and Bilambil?
Yeah, tough one. I'd like to know if Hines playing. Mickey, is that the judiciary tonight?
Yeah, it's tonight. And if anything, from when we played Murwillumbah a couple of weeks ago, I think it was Toby McIntosh was sent off by the ref. Pretty much the same situation as Hindy was. And I think Toby got 2 weeks. So let's just assume Hindy is not playing.
Yeah, okay. And he's obviously a loss. Him and Speical up front been doing a good job, haven't they? I'll tip the Raiders at home. I thought they'd be better than what they were last week, the Raiders. But, Don Murray looks like he's going to score a try every time he gets the ball. And I think Jared DeTheory, my mate Fishy's back this week, hopefully. So not sure about Dan Ross, how he's gone. They've got a few troops back as well. So we'll see. I'll tip the Raiders, Nev.
Yeah. I'm going to say Raiders because although I think it'll be a close game, the Raiders always knows how to win the close ones, probably with the exception of Mustangs, but they love a raw game. They like to play gritty, and when you've got Hitman and Luke Campbell, they get amongst it. But if Dan Ross plays or not, it's another thing.
I got a message from Guy as we were doing the podcast because we were talking about it, and he said he got a concussion. So he said he's all right.
Yeah.
Or he just got a head bump or something like that. So I think he'll be playing by the sounds of what Guy was saying.
Yeah.
So.
I think it's going to be a replica of what it was the other week. But Tweed Coast, they don't lose many when they're close. They don't normally. It's very rare where their teams run away. It's very rare when they have teams run away on them. It sort of happened a bit last year, but when it's close, it's I'd say 8 times out of 10 they're going to get it done. Especially when it's local derbies too, which I've come to realise too. When it's a local derby, they've got the Hillbillies just given that extra fuel, and that was no different when they played Coogin the other day. And I think that was actually, to be brutally honest, that was probably even the difference. You could hit, like when Lyndon McGrady was sending those high kicks up, and Ben O'Gorman was coming. We felt like we weren't watching a game of footy. I thought we were watching an Ashes test, and
it was loud, wasn't it?
Yeah, and Mitchell Stark was coming into bowl against the Poms. So, and it was that kind of vibe, which is what you sort of expecting at Cabba. So that will be me for the Raiders. So the next game too. Sticking with the Northern Conference, so Murwillumbah and Coogin. Don't know if this is going to be at Stan Sackmore on the junior ground, but Crossy, who do you like?
Mate, I'll tip the Mustangs. Good to see them return to a bit of form. Obviously, we spoke to Bailey Crompton tonight. He's won't be there this week, but I just think the Hornets might have taken a bit out of them last week. They played well above their weight. Hopefully, Sammy Grant comes back into that team for them this week. He's their captain and halfback to steer them around. But I think at home, boys, the Mustangs will have too much.
Yeah, Mickey.
Yeah, I was talking to Connor Mills from Coogin today, and he was saying that they're just missing those few players, and it's hard to, they said their forwards are going great. He said he feels they're a little thin on their backs at the moment, and the way Murwillumbah's backs were playing the last few weeks, they've really got it. And I think they're sweating on the fitness of Caleb Zeeble as well. I think he hurt his buttocks falling off the bench on the Raiders game. So
Let's stitch up.
Yeah,
I'm gonna actually keep talking. I'm gonna see if I can find that.
I just happened to remember that, Nev. I just happened to spot it out of the corner of my eye there on Sunday on the call, and I think you asked me a question at the time, and I said, "Mate, sorry, I was distracted because Big Buddha's just fallen off the bench."
Yeah, it was funny you just casually throwing it in there like that as well. Your little talk, I was just like, that's hilarious.
We're gonna get this up before the
you got up.
the end of the.
That was good.
So actually, I'm just trying to find the easy way to go about it. So, but who do you like there, Mickey?
Yeah, I think Murwillumbah. They played really well last week, and Murwillumbah.
Okay, so actually, I'll just get my tip in. So I'm going to say Murwillumbah as well, only because I think Murwillumbah found that form that normally, as I said, they normally have slow starts to the season. This is probably about 4 or 5 games slower than usual, even though they've been in the majority of the games that they were playing. But I think once they find their groove, they're very hard to beat, and it's and their plateau is a long one. And so not just that, I also think that, as you alluded to, Mickey, that I think Coogin, it's just too much of a backline. Their front rows are getting the job done. Tim James, both of the Zeeble brothers, Buddha, and Josh Lieber, those lads. That's not their, as I said time and time again. That's like, it's one thing to get out within their 20, the opposition 10, 20, but it's I just think let's put it this way, if they had Jalen DeGroot, Tom Weave, I'd be picking Coogin still, even despite Murbah's form, and probably a close one. But I say Murbah by about, I'm going to say a couple of tries, say about 12 to 14 points, that vicinity. So anyway, so I'll just see if I can get this. Yeah, so we all need to see this. So this is Caleb Zeebles. We see him coming up from one end of the field. And I think Susie's mum, I think she's going to, I don't know how she'll take this. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but I have to show this. So just bear with me. All right, so this was all a bit of halftime entertainment from Mr. Caleb Zeeble. Check this out. So this was on the Coogin Instagram feed. The Hornets ground. So it's like, what do you say, the Finglehead or Salt Village? I guess what's better is probably going to who wins today. What do you reckon?
Nev, I just got distracted, mate, because I was watching Caleb Zeeble sit on the bench down there, which just broke from under him. I don't know what Zeeble's weighing in at anymore, but
we haven't got a camera on it.
Zeeble's taking his jumper off just to make sure he doesn't go over the weight, but I don't know whether we got that on footage or not.
Yeah, it's Hornets grounds. Okay, so that was okay. All right, that was Crossy. So you think that the taking the jersey off though probably didn't help either. Even though his mum wrote in the other day and said that like he used to be a light heavyweight or lightweight or something.
Oh, his mum's a ripper, isn't she? She's such a great lady and a great supporter.
Amazing.
Yeah, she's such a good lady.
Yeah.
And,
and we got some hot dogs. And apparently that she does a pretty mean hot dog to it, Coogin. We'll have to cover that in the canteen episode at the end of this season. But all right, so we'll leave the Hornets and Mr. Zeeble alone. He's going to have all the sorts of text messages coming in the next couple of days. Let's get out of the bubble now, the Southern Conference. So Northern United versus Mullum at Crozier. So Crossy.
Mate, let's get on United. They're doing the business at the moment, aren't they? Mullum, they're trying their best. And, again, hats off to the Giants for just being part of this competition under very tough circumstances, losing their players through this border bubble. So well done to the Giants for what they're doing. But I think Northern United, and knowing the way that Clarence and Brady Kelly and some of these guys operate, like they'll sense they've got a real opportunity this year now and with a bit of momentum. So that could be a big score over there on the weekend.
And Mickey.
Yeah, I'm going to go Northern United, and I'm going to use my Bilambo mentality and tip Northern every game out for the rest of the year from now on. So
okay,
I love it.
Okay, even against Ballina.
Yep, even against Ballina.
Rightio, and sure he's picked Murwillumbah, Bilambo. So he's actually picked Bilambo with you, Mickey. So it goes to show that he hasn't done any research.
What a surprise!
And Northern, and he's tipped Ballina as well. I'm going to say Northern. I think no fault there, and I think Mullum are probably out of all the teams at the present, feeling it the hardest with this bubble at the moment.
Yeah.
They did the job against Northern in a close one at that very ground. So this will be the third time that they're playing each other in a matter of weeks. So, but like with everything that's going on, what's fact is fact, and the fact is they're going to have they have about 9-10 players missing because of this bubble in Northern. Well, home crowd as well. I think this could be, I'm going to say maybe by about 20 points. I think Northern, if they play like they did against Morris, I think it will be a good 3 or 4 tries at least.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it'll be 20 or 30.
Okay. And then the final game, Ballina versus Casino, this time at Queen Elizabeth Park and Casino. Crossy, so we didn't cover as much as we want about that game against because you actually did watch it. So do you want to highlight a bit about it and why or may or may not be different this week around?
Well, I'll tell you what, boys. So of the tries that Ballina scored, I don't know the exact number. Nev, you could probably pull that up. Let's say there was probably 8 or 9 or 10 tries. What was
11.
it? 60?
That was 11 tries.
11 tries.
Yeah.
Of the 11 tries, boys, I think 8 of those were down the left edge, and the other 2 were under the post, and the other one was the last try of the game on the right-hand side of the field to Reece Riches. So let's say 8 of those tries are down that left-hand side of the field, which is Jess Perry, Ant Coleman playing the lead line, and
did they come from
in
Zach
this case
Beecher?
it was Beecher out the back.
Yeah,
that's right.
Back, yeah.
Yeah. So if I'm Casino this week, I'm actually going to load my numbers across to their right edge in D. I'm going to, again, I'm not coaching, but if I was, I'm going to chance my arm and put another body across there and just make that a more even contest and just run the risk that the Ballina aren't going to go to their right and Casino's left. And because at the end of the day, boys, like Anthony Coleman's either the best player or top 3 players in the competition. He just put on a clinic again on the weekend, Coleman, and you got Lukey Douglas playing that wedge shape that Mickey and I spoke about at the start of the season, and Jess Perry. They look so potent on that left edge, but there is some opportunities on their other side, Ballina. So for me, Nev, to come back to your question in a long roundabout way, Casino weren't as terrible as what the score looked, but the gap between their best footy and their worst is too big, which I think I said a few weeks back.
Yeah.
If they can improve their worst footy at the moment, they will get closer on the weekend. But I can't see anything but a Ballina win, but it'll be much closer.
Okay. Well said. Sorry, Mickey.
Yeah, I'll go Ballina win, but Casino score at least 2 tries themselves this week.
Yeah. So, and I guess it all comes down to the whole fatigue factor. It's like, and I even said this, like with some of these 16-year-olds, they're only used to playing 30-minute halves. And then as you made mention, Kurt McGrath, Mickey, that he played 3 games. It's so they can do it.
So good.
Are they that? I mean, and I guess it also iterates and it's sort of a reassuring thing. They're still keen to play footy. And they're that keen to play footy that they're willing to do it 3 times in a day. And that passion is still there despite the scorelines. And I mean, despite the fact that, that it's 62-0 drubbing against Ballina, it's a reassuring thing that they still want to go out there, have a go. And it's better than, just saying, look, bugger it, we're not going to freaking play. But so maybe if they can, what you said, Crossy, if they can just make a few tweaks, I say Ballina, but it won't be 62-0. I think, no. I think, I'm thinking maybe somewhere in maybe the 20 to maybe 30 or 20, somewhere in the high 20 margin. I think Ballina will still have too much attacker there in Casino. But I just feel that with the home ground too, and we said this at the start of the season, the Casino always make you work for it at home. And I think this time around it will be, somewhere in the high 20s. And especially now, even Ballina, if they lose any more players to this bubble, if any more of them end up working in Queensland, Nicky. So, but anyway, so that's round 4 covered. So, lads, what is the weekend live for you boys, knowing that I'm going to make Mr. Shaw work on the Sunday? Vicky, first.
Nah, I'm nothing. Quiet one. I had a big Friday and a wedding last week, so I will be...
You got the Sunday game.
Yeah. Rumour has it the Murwillumbah Coogin game could be played on a Friday or a Saturday. So
really?
if that happens, I'll be going out to watching that. So.
Oh, okay. So so that's I think I did see a Instagram post somewhere. Yeah, it's a rumor. Yeah, okay. Well, I know I'll be at the rugby on Saturday, so Mr. Goff's making me work extra in finals time. So good man. So Crossy, what lies for you for this Sunday, brother?
Like Saturday will be down at the mighty Crompton Eagles Day, the under-9s. The mighty under-9s, they're having a bumper season, the boys. So I'll be down there with Coach Murray Demro on Saturday, and then I help coach the under-18s, Crompton Eagles, in the afternoon. So that's Saturday, and then Sunday, boys, of course, is Father's Day. So I've been told to clear the calendar and no commitments, and I'll just do as I'm told on Sunday.
Good man. So well, actually, that's your day, mate. You should be guys calling the shots on the Sunday, mate.
Yeah, it'll be very quiet. It'll include being in the ocean and probably 2 or 3 coffees. That'll be as exciting as it gets, I reckon.
So is coffee keyword for Irish whiskey?
Coffee is coffee. Maybe a couple of beers in the arvo watching the footy, I'd say, somewhere. So is Shory's on the call on Sunday?
Yeah. So me and
Shory's on the
Shory.
call.
Yes.
You and Shory. So I'll look forward to tuning and listen to
what's the game?
Shory.
Well, it's rumor has it it's outside of the bubble. So which is why these two boys have got the week off, and I'm still can roam around. I can roam around wherever I can roam around. So, but we'll figure that out as time goes on. So,
cool.
so you boys are off the hook because of Miss Palaszczuk. So we'll just leave it. Okay, but I mean, I've been loving the Tweed bubble though. Like I've been loving the weekends up there with Miss B and then go and have a brekkie and go check out parts of the world. Like just getting off footy a bit. Finglehead. I've been to Finglehead for the first time last weekend. So went to the lighthouse there, and it's bloody beautiful. I could give up Byron in a heartbeat. After sussing out Tweed, and so as they say, like it's God's country. So rumor has it. So and Mickey, you're just lapping this up. You're soaking this up. These endorsements.
Yeah, nah, I'm very lucky to be living up here. So,
all right, boys. So, enjoy your weekend, your Father's Day weekend, Crossy, and
thanks, mate.
I'll be doing the business as always. So, so that was Duaneo Podcast number. Geez, I'm losing track. 14. That was the 7th NRRRL themed chat in the books. So. Hit subscribe on the page, and as I may mention, if you've got any info you want us to share, or if you're a player and you want to jump on, message me at the Instagram page at the Duaneo Podcast. At the Duaneo, and there's the underscores between Duaneo and podcast. Subscribe to the YouTube page, and also we're on iTunes and Spotify as well. If you happen to be driving, sorry, and you want to hear what's happening out in NRRRL and all the action that's happening on the eastern side of the country. Mickey Coleman, Nathan Cross, pleasure as always, guys. Enjoy your weekend off, and we'll be wherever we are on Sunday, match of the round, this coming Sunday. Until then, enjoy your week, enjoy the footy, get out there and enjoy it. There's some big games ahead.
See you later.
Have a good night.
See you, boys.